everyone, and apologies for some technical difficulties there. Welcome to our virtual parent information evening for senior pathway options at Glen Eagles for 2021. My name is Sarah Reynolds and I'm the middle sub-school leader at the college. As you may have seen, there is the option of choosing to add subtitles to this evening's presentation in the language of your choice. To do this, please click on the closed caption option at the bottom right of your screen and select your preferred language. There is also a question and answer feature of this presentation, so please feel free to ask any questions and we will respond to them within the next 24 hours. At this point, I would like to advise you that this evening's presentation is being recorded and the PowerPoint will be made available on Compass for you to refer back to throughout the evening and after our presentation. The purpose of this evening's presentation is to explore pathway options at Glen Eagles in 2021. Course selection decisions should always be guided by what does your child like, what is your child good at, and what prerequisites does your child require, if any. University courses in particular are lessening the course requirements for particular courses. For example, a Bachelor of Physical Education does not necessarily require VCE Physical Education as a prerequisite. Please contact careers if you are unsure if you require any prerequisites for your desired course. Before I continue, I'd also like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders who may be here today. The following websites that you can see on the screen now are supports that are available to your children and yourselves in the lead up to the course counselling process. And these will be available on Compass through the PowerPoint after tonight's presentation. While we're in remote learning, you can see there that our careers website and our careers team are available, and your students will be able to make face-to-face appointments with our careers team that you will be able to join as a parent via a phone call, or obviously they can email and contact the careers team if necessary, and same with their teachers and team leaders if they have any questions about the course counselling process or subjects, any prerequisites, that sort of thing. In the lead up to the course counselling, students have already begun to explore their subject programs and the options and things that they would like to study in the Futures Day that was held face-to-face back in June. And obviously our information evening this evening is a key part of the course counselling process as well. Important upcoming dates that we have, we've got course counselling interviews that are happening next Wednesday on the 29th, and they'll be booked through Teams. So like this, you will meet with a child and your child must be accompanied by a parent or a carer. The appointments will be 15 minutes in length and you will be allocated that will be able to help you. And your program for 2021 must be entered using our course counselling system, VCAL, which Mr. Evans will be talking about a little bit later on in the evening. The interviews will go from 1 p.m. till 8 p.m. and as I said before, will last for about 15 minutes in duration. Virtual interviews can be booked on Compass using conference bookings, the same process as we use for parent-teacher interviews, as hopefully you can see on the screen right now. And we will obviously provide further details of how to make the Teams booking and to meet with your course counsellor on Teams prior to next Wednesday. It'll be available on Compass for you. At this point in the presentation, I'd like to introduce Mr. Nick Evans, the Senior School Leader, to explore the course counselling system and pathway options with you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mr. Evans, the Senior School Leader, and I'll be guiding us through the different pathway options available for your Year 10 student or Year 10 child for 2021. This year we're using VCAL, so new software. And just to give you a bit of an overview of what's going to happen, students will be entered their web code or login. It will be sent to their school email. And this will direct students to a website where you and the student can work together to have a go at picking their preferred subjects. You're able to basically change around your selections and sort of play around in the system a little bit. Up until the 29th of July, we will lock the system prior to your course counselling interview, and then you'll have a chance to go through it with your course counsellor at your appointment. I do want to point out that some subjects are fee-based, so there will be some subjects that you can see in a drop-down list. If families aren't up to date currently with their 2020 accounts, which means paid in full or on a payment plan, you may not be able to select those subjects at the moment. That's okay. It doesn't mean you don't have access to them. It just means you're unable to select them at the moment. If you contact the bursar during Gleneagles business hours, you'll be able to sort something out and be able to pick them then. I do want to point out you don't have to have paid everything in full, just have contacted the bursar to work something out. We understand, obviously, with COVID and everything that's going on at the moment, that families do have some difficulties at the moment. Your subject selections will be finalised in the course counselling session with your allocated course counsellor. Okay, what I've done here is put up some still shots of what the system will look like. So you'll have a web browser. You don't need to write this down at the moment. It will be sent to you in an email, and you'll be able to access this again, this presentation, after it is finished. You'll basically go to that website. You'll enter the web code and then click on the course counselling button. It'll take you to a different site, and you'll see that course counselling 2021, and it says currently open for submission. And then you click on that and it'll take you to the next screen. So what you need to do here, if you're looking on the purple side there, you need to select either a VCE, which includes VCAL, or a SWEL, which does not include VCAL pathway. So if you are looking to do a VCAL pathway, select VCE 2021. If you're looking to do a SWEL pathway, then I want you to select the SWEL 2021. Once you click on that, it will take you to a screen that looks like you can see in the still shot there, and each of those boxes has a drop-down option. And you select the subjects and click submit, and there are notes and rules. The next slide will show you, it will have a link on it there. There are some rules, but it will total up the fees that you have. It'll tell you if you haven't selected enough units. You can see the very bottom box shows you a VCAL. There's a VCAL question, and that asks you whether you want to do VCAL or whether you do not wish to apply for VCAL. So you just select whichever is appropriate. You'll also note on the right-hand side there are reserve units for you to choose. The reserve units will not get, you will not automatically go into unless we are unable to place you in all of your preferences. If your preferences go in and we can put you in your preferences, they are the subjects that you will go in. In the event that we have to use a reserve unit, we will use those reserve units, and we will probably meet with your student to let them know that there was a problem and they couldn't get into all of their courses or preferred subjects, and put you have a conversation about which one of those reserve units you wish to go in. I do want to point out they're in priority order. I'm not going to show you this video here, but when you do get the Loom, I have filmed a step-by-step video for how to do it. It goes for about 5 minutes, so you can go along and have a click on that before you do it if you like. You get to listen to my dulcet tones, so it'd be fantastic. So you can refer to that at any stage after this presentation. Okay, deadlines and due dates. Obviously, course counselling is imminent. Now, for students interested in doing VCAL or SWEL programs, they are sort of select entry programs, and both of them have an application. Now, it is due by midday of Thursday, the 23rd of July, so about 17, 18 hours away. Details of applications can be found on the Compass newsfeed. We have been receiving applications already. We will make decisions on who gets in based on applications and interview. So it's really important that we get those applications due in. When you get the application, because you're not at school, obviously, to hand it in, you just need to email it to seniorschool@gleneagles.vic.edu.au, but that information is on the newsfeed. Next Wednesday, the 29th, we will finalise subject selections during our virtual course counselling interview. So we're doing a fair bit of history at the moment, virtual night tonight and then virtual course counselling next week. And then in the morning of that Wednesday, all students and families will be locked out of the online course counselling system, and your course counsellor will have access to act on your behalf in that virtual interview. On Monday, the 3rd of August, the Year 10 review team will meet to review all subject or all student subject selections. We will look for anybody who has not filled it out. We will check that all the criteria have been met. And you can see it's quite a quick turnaround, and so we will be doing, as a review team, quite a bit of chasing from the Monday the 3rd of August, just to check that people have got everything in that they wanted to have in, and we'll pick up any discrepancies where people may have picked EAL when they're not eligible for EAL, or may have picked units 1, 2, 3 and 4 of business management when that's not something that we would do. So just to let you know, those are the timelines. They are quite tight, but this is where all our planning for 2021 sort of happens. So it's really important that we meet these deadlines so we can really make sure students have as much access to the programs that they've selected as possible. So if you are interested in doing VCAL or SWEL, and I'm going to talk about those more shortly, really important that you get your application in by midday tomorrow, or at least send an email to say that you're having some difficulties doing it so we can see who is interested beforehand. We will allocate students who are interested in VCAL as well to certain course counsellors, so we need to have that information as soon as possible. Once we have all that information, we can allocate your course counsellors, send out your logins, and you can start playing with your subject selections. Okay, so what pathway options do we have at Gleneagles? We've got 4 listed there. It's really 3 major ones that we want to talk about. Firstly, VCAL. So 2021 will be the first year that Gleneagles has offered the Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning. We're very, very excited about it. We have our VCE, which I suppose is our default pathway, the Victorian Certificate of Education. We have VCE program with a vet at an external provider. I'm going to talk about what a vet is shortly, and that is obviously dependent on fitting into your Gleneagles timetable. Gleneagles itself does not run any vets. They're all run at registered training organisations, or RTOs. And then we have a SWEL program, which is a blended VCE program which incorporates some structured workplace learning. So you can see there the structured workplace enterprise learning is for it's really for students who have identified they're interested in taking a vocational pathway. You will need to be approved for a course counsellor for this program, and the program includes sort of 5 subjects there. So VCE English, VCE Industry and Enterprise, a vet that says at Helen. It's not restricted to Helen, but most of our students do their vet at Helen because they offer a wide range of vets, and they're it's very geographically close to us. And then you do 2 subjects of your choice, and there is support for people in the SWEL program. Look, successful completion of any of the above pathways will result in a recognised Year 12 completion certificate. I really want to stress this point. VCAL and VCE and SWEL all equal a Year 12 qualification that is acknowledged as a Year 12 pass anywhere in the state or in the country or internationally. So there's not one that is better than the other. They're just different depending on the type of learner. That's what's really important about this course counselling process. Okay, there are pathway options obviously outside of Gleneagles Secondary College that students may be interested in exploring. We have other secondary colleges such as Helen Senior Secondary. We have no direct entry or way of guaranteeing entry into any of those other schools. So if families or students are interested in looking at other schools, they would need to contact those schools individually. But we'd like to keep all of you, so please don't look at that option. We have external providers. So TAFE specialist courses such as like an Ellie Lucas, hair and beauty courses, different specialist streams. There are options available for students to access those programs, and it's, I couldn't stress enough, and we really want you to meet with the careers team if you wish to explore that option with an external provider. The careers teams will know which of those programs are accredited, which get recognised nationally, and can provide you with information about application processes, and look over your resume if that's part of the requirement. And then our other option is full-time work or pre-apprenticeship. So there are many options available outside of Gleneagles if that's something your student is interested in doing. And again, you need to meet with the you need to meet with the careers team at Gleneagles for that. There's a little note there that Victorian law requires all students under the age of 17 to be engaged. Sorry, I might have just logged out there. Full-time work is considered to be a minimum of 25 hours a week, and we must have an official offer of employment to be obtained prior to exiting Gleneagles Secondary College. So if any of those options are of interest to you, please see the careers team and potentially your sub-school team leaders as well, just to let them know you're interested. Okay, so the first of our programs or pathways at Gleneagles, we have VCAL. So that is the Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning, which is a hands-on industry-focused program. So students who are successful in getting into the VCAL program at Gleneagles will attend Gleneagles 3 days a week. They'll do a vet subject for one day and work placement on another day. It's really designed for students who want more hands-on experience in their desired industry and learn better in groups and real-life situations. But VCAL is by application only, and students must apply and then they'll complete an interview, just like everybody else in Year 10, to see if they are successful in getting into that. Not a lot of knowledge of VCAL probably from our students or families here, so I'm going to give you a bit more information about it. There are 4 strands that we cover in VCAL: literacy, numeracy, personal development skills such as leadership and community work, and work-related skills, which also includes our vet and work placement, but is also part of integrated projects within VCAL. You don't learn these strands are not really taught the same way that, say, English and maths or health or PE are taught. They're not. You won't go to a literacy class or you won't go to a numeracy class. They will just be, there will be aspects in the project-based work that you do in that VCAL program. Okay, now vet subjects. This is applicable to people doing VCAL, SWEL or VCE. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about vet subjects. Vet is vocational education and training, and the aim of it is to deliver workplace-specific and industry-standard skills and knowledge. Why would students do a vet subject or consider doing a vet subject? Well, vet subjects provide students with a qualification in that area. That's really important, especially in an environment where we have a high level of unemployment. Those with educational qualifications are going to be looked upon more favourably. So vet subjects count as VCE, VCAL and SWEL units. They contribute to your ATAR if you're doing a VCE program, and they can lead to further education, training or employment in a vocational setting. So we often see that as trade-based apprenticeships or employment. How do vets work for a Gleneagles student? So students at Gleneagles will travel to an external provider, which is known as an RTO, as I mentioned before, to complete their vet subject. It's usually once a week and runs for approximately 4 hours. Different RTOs will have different hours. Gleneagles has existing links with RTOs such as Hallam Senior Secondary College, Chisholm TAFE, and anybody in the Selwyn Vet cluster. If you're interested in doing a vet, you need to make a careers appointment for more information. It is worth noting that all vet subjects will have an additional fee that is set by the RTO. When we talk about entering your desire to do a vet in your course selections, you won't actually pick the specific vet that you want to do on the night. you'll simply indicate that you're interested in doing a vet, and then the review team will meet with you to discuss which vet that is going to be, which gives you a little bit more time to investigate exactly which vet you want to do. To give you an example of some of the vets that run, that we currently have students travel for, we have vet hair and beauty, we have vet automotive, vet building and construction, vet business, vet music and sound industry production, we have what else? Vet plumbing, vet allied health, and vet community services, just to name a few. But there might be vet animal studies. There's a whole range of vets out there, and I'd like you to really, if you choose or you're interested in doing a vet, to really have a think about areas that you're passionate about, and then that might be the right vet for you to see if you can access. Okay, now I spoke before about us not having subjects in VCAL, and that is right. If we were to have subjects in VCAL, this is what they'd be. They'd be community and leadership, enterprise and communication, work and industry. They do run, and you will study those, but you won't go to a community and leadership class. You'll simply do a community and leadership work that will cover numeracy and literacy, personal development skills and work-related skills in a project-based initiative here at Glen Eagles, and you'll do many different projects. You might run a cafe for, well, you know, post-COVID world. You might run a cafe where students would look at what products they need to order, how many they need to order. They'd speak to suppliers. They would, you know, do marketing and advertising that would show off their literacy skills. They'd be keeping track of how many, you know, food items or coffees they sold, so that would include their numeracy, and then they'd be obviously looking at the skills and signage and how to speak to people and customer service. So there's a whole range of skills, but rather than going just into a class to learn about these individually, we really are looking at an integrated project approach to VCAL. And we're really excited about it. We couldn't be happier. There's been a lot of work coming from quite a few people to make sure there we go. Okay, so what do you need to do if you are interested in VCAL? You need to talk to the Year 10 team leaders to discuss if VCAL is right for you. Many of you may have done that already. Obviously, the applications are due at midday tomorrow, so you'd want to get moving on that one. Pick up an application form or download one from the careers website, or that information, as I said earlier, is on Compass. Really important that you have a look at that application. We'd like you to put as much time and effort into that application as it deserves, and you know, keep in mind that we're using these application forms as part of our process to determine who goes in there. So we want to see which students are prepared to do the work and are going to be really vibrant, you know, valuable members of our VCAL team. So you want to look at a list of vet options available. You don't have to know exactly which vet you want to do, but certainly looking into it would be very helpful. And then start exploring where you may want to do a work placement. Your work placement, where possible, we'd like you to relate to your vet. It doesn't have to be. If you have a part-time job already, we may be able to use that. But you know, if you're looking at doing vet building construction or vet automotive, and you happen to know someone who runs their own, you know, panel repair shop or panel beating shop, and there'd be an opportunity for you to do placement, that would be fantastic. Again, I want to stress you don't need to sort that out straight away, but it would be great if you had some options. And if you can't get that application done, or you're struggling to get it filled out and in by midday tomorrow, please email your team leaders to let them know you are interested, and we will add you to the list. And then if your application form comes in slightly late, we can accept it, but please make it a priority. Okay, so VCE at Glen Eagles in 2021. So VCE is one, you know, the most common, I suppose, pathway that we see students take. It's all that we've offered at Glen Eagles up until this year. It stands for the Victorian Certificate of Education, and in order to complete or obtain your VCE certificate, you do need to complete a minimum of 16 units. Units are semester based. So we have units 1 and 2, and roughly they fit into terms 1 and 2 for unit 1 and 3 and 4 for unit 2. It's not quite that way normally, but it's pretty close. Of those 16 units, 3 units need to be of English or EAL, and units 3 and 4, or the year 12 English, you must obtain a satisfactory result in those 2 units to get your VCE in that year. You also need to do 4 sequences, so that's semester 1 and 2 in the same year of your year 12 subjects or your unit 3 and 4 subjects. Along with that, you need to meet attendance requirements in each class. So we expect 95% in-class attendance, and then you need to attempt all assessment and meet the academic requirements of those subjects. So that's the minimum. And talk a little bit more now about what that looks like in 2021. So we are moving to a slightly different model for 2021. We will be running what we're calling the 5 and 5 model for VCE subjects. So in year 11, you'll do 5 subjects, and in year 12, you'll do 5 subjects. So as you can see, that will get you 20 units. You need to pass 16 of those units. Now, some year 10 students will already be doing units, unit 1 and 2 class now, so you will end up potentially with more units. You must do an English or EAL in year 11, and then the roadmap support class is just will be about 1 period per week. Some students will be interested in doing a 6th subject, and you may be able to access a VET as a 6th subject if you can access it without interruption to your timetable classes, or you might be able to study a language by the Victorian School of Languages. Now, VCEL, or the Victorian School of Languages, often runs Saturday or weekend classes for you to access, and you might go to a different, they're often run at a range of school settings, but on a Saturday or a Sunday. And if you're a native speaker in any of those languages and you think you would go very well in it, it can be very advantageous for you in regards to your ATAR. So that could add a 6th subject. I'm not going to talk about ATARs today, but the value of doing a 5th or a 6th subject only gives you about 10% of your study score for that particular score or for that subject. But you'll probably hear more about that later on. I don't want to talk too much about ATARs. Basically, there's not a huge advantage doing a 6th subject compared to not doing a 6th subject. Accelerated programs, as I spoke about before, students who have successfully completed a Unit 1 and 2 in 2020, your 2021 program will have 1 Year 12 subject, assuming you want to go on and continue with that Year 12 subject, and 4 Year 11 subjects, which might mean that in 2022, you go on and do 4 Year 12 subjects and pick up a 5th Year 12 subject, which would count as your 6th if you wanted to, or you might just do 4 Year 12 subjects and potentially have some study periods, and would make that decision later in 2021, probably based on how you went in your Year 12 subject. Okay, so a little bit more information about the 5 and 5 model. So Year 11 VCE programs are made up of VCE English or EAL if you are eligible for EAL, and either 4 VCE Unit 1 and 2s and a VET. You could choose to do 3 Year 11 subjects and a VET if that VET fell outside our blocks, or you might do 3 VCE Units 1 and 2 and a Unit 3 and 4 subject units if you've done your 1 and 2 in 2020. Plus you'll have a roadmap support class. The other option that isn't up there at the moment is we have a very small number of students who are doing 2 Unit 1 and 2s ahead of time, and so next year they would do 2 Unit 1 or 2 Unit 3 4s ahead of time, 3 VCEs, and then they would probably potentially look at picking up another one when they get into Year 12. You'll note the star next to the VET. There's no guaranteed access because it is, as I said before, the VETs are dependent on external providers, and the time it runs is set by the external provider, not by us. The add-ons that I just spoke about the Victorian School of Languages. If you're doing a language and you're a native speaker, they will do an assessment when you go to VCEL to let you know what level they think you are in. Potentially you might go straight into year 12 if your skills are advanced enough, but generally they do a year 11 language in year 11 and then a year 12 in year 12. You could do a VET at an external provider, as I said, and there might be other specialist subjects such as VCE dance that may be accessible through external providers. Again, no guaranteed access. We don't have any control over anybody else's timetabling or scheduling. So it's sort of dependent on the external provider and the time it runs there compared to what your timetable looks like at Gleneagles. You won't be missing Gleneagles classes to access a different lesson. So if you are interested in doing that, you want to come and see one of the support people that Miss Reynolds mentioned before. Okay, VCE Swell. Look, Swell is actually a VCE program. So at the end of the Swell program, you would come out with a VCE certificate, but it's really tailored for students who want to get experience in a workplace that may lead to employment and or further study at TAFE. So students who do Swell need to be highly organised and adaptable enough to handle different environments each week. And look, the same comment could go for our VCAL students. The reason being that if you're in Swell, you do work placement, so you are off-site doing your work placement for a lot of the year, once a week, and then you're also travelling to do a VET subject. So students in Swell can study VCE English, they must do, VCE Industry and Enterprise, which is a VCE subject that counts towards your ATAR or VCE certificate, and it also supports the work you do in your structured workplace learning. You do a VET studied at an external provider, but you are slightly limited with your choice because it has to run at a certain day and time to match your Gleneagles timetable. And then 2 VCE subjects of your choice, but because of the way the Swell program is timetabled, there'll be only certain lines or certain blocks or subjects that you are able to do. You won't know them until we timetable it, so you still select the subjects you would like to do, and the timetable will do everything it can to make sure it fits. This is 2020 is the first year that we've had our Swell program up and going, and we've already had a number of students who are in Swell who have successfully found their way into the workforce. So it's actually proving to be highly successful for our students that are in it. It is possible to do Swell in Year 11 and Year 12, even if your intention might be to use Swell to get into the workforce or into further training. If that doesn't materialise, you can absolutely finish VCE Swell all the way through to Year 12, get your certificate, and then have that qualification with you as well. If you, and there's more information on the careers website about that. Okay, our 2021 program confirmation. So in order to secure your placement on your program, for Gleneagles, you need to complete all steps by the published dates. Support and information will continue to be provided as key dates approach. Once your program selections are confirmed, they're locked in, and we won't be able to change them until everything is timetabled and then we see what the options are available. We have to lock it down at some point so that we can schedule it, put teachers in front of classes, and know what our class sizes are and plan for the staffing accordingly. Each year in VCE or senior school, there are opportunities for subject change. So there are processes for that. We will open up, you're not locked in for forever, it's just locked in so we can plan what we're going to be running and offering in 2021. Okay, so remember, ask lots of questions of careers, of teachers, of team leaders. Do your research. You can go onto the VCAL website. We have a lot of information on our Futures website that students have already explored, and we really encourage families to do that as well. Please adhere to the deadlines. If the subjects are in, and that's what we do all our planning on, and you end up not getting your selections in, and the subject that you wanted to do doesn't get up because not enough people showed enough interest at the time, that'd be pretty devastating. So we want to know exactly what we're going to run based on accurate numbers. If you are struggling to meet deadlines or there are problems, please contact the school, communicate with your team leaders, communicate with careers or the front office, and we will do what we can to assist you. It's really important. I just want to stress again what Ms. Reynolds said. When we are picking VCE programs, we really want to pick things that our students are good at and that they like. If they like them and they're good at them, they will succeed in them. If they just think they have to do it but they're not very good at it, it becomes really hard work for them at VCE. And we see a lot of students who thought, oh, I'm going to do methods because it's really important that I do a maths, and I'm sort of okay at maths, but I don't really enjoy it. And they pick it, and then 6 months later, they're really struggling and they come out of that maths. I do say maths because that's probably the one that most people pick because they think that we have to do a maths because English and maths have been really important. So when looking at the prerequisites that you require, consider whether or not you need a maths to get into it. If you are good at maths, we absolutely encourage you to do it. Fantastic to be good at it. But if you're not good at maths, don't pick it because you think you need it if it's not a prerequisite. Really focus on what you like and what you're going to be good at, because you spend a lot of hours and a lot of study doing that work. Good luck with your applications. We look forward to seeing all the VCAL applications and SWEL applications come through. We're here to answer any questions. Hopefully there's been lots of questions that have been put through on the Q&A, and we will endeavour to get back to everyone within 24 hours. Good luck. Thank you for being part of a historic first virtual parent information night. Might be the way of the future, we don't know. And we look forward to seeing you virtually again, but with your student and families next week with our virtual course counselling. We will send out information about your student will receive a web code or a login probably Friday this week. We've just got to do a bit of work in the background. And then you'll be able to also, when you get that web code, you'll be able to start going into Compass and booking your appointment with your course counsellor. Okay, if you do have any general questions that you haven't asked in the Q&A but you think about in a day or two, please email careers@gleneagles.vic.edu.au and we will get that to the appropriate person to respond to you. Thank you very much and have a lovely and safe evening.